Welcome to another edition of the FGA Report covering the top prospects down south. I have Mr. Dan Harris with me, AJ Harris's father. Dan, thanks for coming on the show, brother. I appreciate it. How you doing?
Hey, all is well, Brian. I appreciate you having me, my friend.
All right. Well, Dan, you are the father of one Mr. AJ Harris, the top corner arguably in the country for the class of 2023. He is going to Phenix City Central High School this next year. And the objective of this podcast isn't to talk about his recruitment in depth. It's more about the process leading up to where AJ is now, trying to
Yeah,
help some other parents understand, because not everybody's got your son's God-given ability. And I kind of want to go over what it's like, the process, because it
yeah,
is a long one.
it is.
So
It is.
first off, AJ's about 6'1", 180, and he's athletic as all get out. When did you guys start sending him to trainers or camps, combines? When did all that start for you and your son?
Brian, so initially, um, I think every mom and dad out there, um, the best kids in Pop Warner, what they're going to play running back, quarterback, and probably safety. So, we kind of seen through Pop Warner and some of his travel teams, we could kind of see it was flashes, but having an older brother, AJ has an older brother, my oldest son. We kind of know the rubber starts to meet the road about, eighth grade to ninth grade. So eighth grade year, we took him out to offense defense camp out in California. And we had been hearing, hey, camps are the way. That's how you get exposure for your kids. You got to take them to camps. So we took him to offense defense. And immediately he was in the eighth grade, and immediately they after he went through the drills, they paired him up, and he was going with the freshmen and the sophomores. And I can remember at that time AJ probably was 5'9" and probably weighed all of about 165, but he's out there tackling this big fullback type of running back. He was probably about maybe 5'11", probably about already 200 pounds, and AJ is about 165 pounds. So it's kind of like, whoa, like, we didn't know he had that heart like that. So um, that's when we kind of started to see, okay, so this is serious. But what we started to learn, and something that I would like to share with the parents out there, is that all camps are not made alike. Offense, defense is very good. It's contact, and some kids are hesitant to contact, so it's very good exposure for that. And I'm not going to talk bad about any camps, because there's always a nugget to take from all camps. But parents, just be careful, because some camps are what you are here called money grabs, and some camps are what really you're looking for, exposure camps. There is a difference.
Is there anything in particular that you saw during like eighth, 10th grade before AJ got his first offer in like 10th grade? Was there anything that told you, hey, we need to get him a trainer, or anything outside of like the high school he was at? When did you decide to like go outside the school realm?
So um, I just mentioned a minute ago, going through Pop Warner, going through the travel football teams he was on, all of the best athletes tend to play running back, quarterback, safety. Um, so the start, Brian, was his older brother. He went to play some Division II football at a small school in Oklahoma called Bacone College. And his brother had told him, he was like, his brother played running back. He was Mr. Football in Europe. We were stationed in Germany. And his brother said on past pro day, when he had to block those big defensive ends and those linemen, he said, he said, he said, after I went through a couple of drills, I told coach, I want to go over there with the DBs. So that kind of opened AJ's eyes a little bit. Um, but I would say probably the freshman year, AJ was a freshman playing varsity football, and he was playing a little bit of cornerback, and he got two interceptions. When he got those two interceptions, we could tell it was just athleticism because one of them, I don't even know what his vert was in as a freshman, but he was playing zone, and the ball was thrown to the receiver behind him, but he jumped up and skied to get an interception. So that's when his older brother was like, "Dad, like AJ might have a living at corner." And then I was like, "You think so?" So um, after that game, his trainer here, who really built AJ, what set the foundation for AJ. His name is Damian Daniels. They call him the Nighthawk. We have a little arena team here in the Georgia Columbus Phenix City area called the Columbus Lions. He's the all-time leading interception for them. He has over 100 interceptions. It's arena, but anytime you do, you get 100 of anything in sports, you're doing something well. You know what you're doing. And I had him come to watch the next couple of games, and then he was like, "Yeah, I need to get with him." So that was really um, when we noticed it. His freshman year is when we noticed.
What was the first school to extend a scholarship offer to AJ, and when did that happen?
Believe it or not, Brian, and I'm glad you asked that question because um, a lot of people want to go big, but it was Akron.
Okay.
It was Akron, and to this day, um, we try to reach out periodically to them because as you get to be bigger, it's not like you want to forget who offered you that first scholarship, but it was Akron. That started the ball rolling for AJ, and that would have been the end of the freshman year, going into the sophomore spring summer camp season.
Okay. So it was still pretty darn early then.
It was
Okay.
early, yes.
Okay. Now, up until this point, you have kept AJ out of the quote unquote 7-on-7 scene. And as somebody who, for the next 6 months, ironically, every week, I just actually got a text from a guy. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's my life. I understand why, because there's, guys kicking the ball after 7-on-7 is a joke in a lot of ways, but there are elite players. What do you tell parents? Like AJ doesn't need it because he's special, special talent. What do you tell parents that are going to delve into that? They've got a freshman or sophomore. Okay, my kid's got some talent. I'll let him do this. What are some of the things that you think they should look at in selecting a 7-on-7 organization?
I definitely think, even though AJ has not played, and you just hit on some key elements that I really don't like about the 7-on-7. I don't like when you get a first down, how the kids are kicking the ball into the stands of that nature. But I will say, parents, do your research. Definitely look into the organizations that's in the area near you. And if you have the means and you can take your kids a little further, go find a good 7-on-7 program because one thing that I didn't realize where I was holding AJ back from not letting him play is, especially, and let me caveat that, especially if your kid plays linebacker, cornerback, receiver, quarterback, running back, tight end, because there are some nuances of 7-on-7 that are needed. A lot of kids are making plays on their athleticism. It's very important. The trainer that I connected AJ with really pointed out to us how AJ was doing a lot of things on athleticism and just playing ball. But as AJ started to learn what the linebackers are doing, what his safety is doing, um, now he's able to bait quarterbacks because he know where his help is and where he can be aggressive. So there, as the quarterback, you're going to see a lot of different. You're going to see some man. You're going to see some zone. So most definitely, if you can get your kid into a quality 7-on-7 program, it will benefit him and it will give him exposure like you wouldn't believe. And a lot of the better 7-on-7 programs are going to be, the coaches are going to be linked in with people like Brian Smith. And if a Brian Smith comes out to watch them, you don't know where your kid can go from the exposure of a guy like that being able to see him play.
That's kind of one of the things I try to do at 7-on-7. If there's a kid like AJ at the tournament, sure, I'm going to talk to him, but they don't need exposure.
Yes.
The kid that's got just the offer from Akron, or maybe not even that, if he makes a play, I try to post that on my Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, because
Yes.
Dabo Sweeney's not calling them. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
that sometimes it works out.
Great point.
So
So parents, again, we're not plugging 7-on-7. This is something me and Brian just talked about offline. But if you can find a quality program, because there's many of them, all of them are not as good as others. If you find a quality program, definitely you need to get your kid into the 7-on-7 circuit.
absolutely. To that point, 7-on-7 overlaps with what college coaches have going on. I know there's a kid that's committed, and I won't get into names, all that, that's committed to one school, and there was a 7-on-7 tournament for whatever reason that was held at a college of a rival school.
Mm-mm.
When he went to that 7-on-7 tournament, that coach grabbed him, did everything he could to keep him as long as possible, and they lost the championship game because the star player was on a golf cart riding around with the head coach. So it's funny.
Interesting.
There's so many little sidebars to it. They don't care about the 7-on-7. They just want those kids to get on their campus. But
Yes.
college is having some of them too. I mean, they happen all over the country. But
Yes.
it's funny how that kind of works.
Brian, it's funny you bring that point up. As much as I've tried to keep AJ away from it, we are fortunate this year that the school he is going to now, they do it as a school. So
Yeah.
they will be getting into some of those bigger tournaments, and he will get some exposure to the 7-on-7 circuit this summer.
That'll be fun. I want to see AJ go up against some of the kids that you and I talked about offline. But there are guys that are 2-star players that can still play. And if AJ doesn't watch his P's and Q's, that guy will smoke him too. I mean, everybody's out there to make a name for themselves, and they will know, okay, that's AJ. They trust me. They sit there and the kid will come up to you and say, now make sure you get a video of this. I'm going to beat this kid all the time.
Yes.
It's funny.
Into that a lot. And, that's the fun part. But we welcome that because, at the end of the day, I'm hoping that AJ can get into a tournament with, the Santana Flemings, the Brandon Ennis, and, I know they out there and they might hear this, but you want them to see them now before they see them on Saturday anyway. So, even if AJ get beat, he welcomed that because he will learn from it. So got to take it for what it's worth as well.
Yeah, you're not going to win every rep at corner.
No.
You're going to get your butt kicked because that guy in front of you knows where the ball is going and you don't.
Yes.
That's why corner is the hardest position physically on a football field. It's not natural to run backwards anyway. Yeah. So it's a big deal. How often does AJ work out outside of the high school? Does he have a trainer like every week? How often does he do it?
Yeah. So first I'll start off with the strength and conditioning. I feel like that's like vital because at the end of the day, a lot of kids that will be fortunate enough, blessed to go play Saturday, if you're not strong enough, you're not going to see the field anyway. So we do, the high schools are really good at hitting big muscle groups, bench press, squat, deadlift, and things of that nature. But even during the season, he will leave practice and go to his trainer to do some different mobility stuff. So, that's vital. In the off season, I actually had to work out with his high school coach to be able to do his strength and conditioning with his trainer. His trainer was a former West Virginia trainer and did his schooling there, and then was a grad assistant and did training at West Virginia for the football program.
Okay.
So again, now that, again, you got to be blessed. And of course, he's expensive, so it costs money, but he's with his strength and conditioning coach pretty much all throughout the year. So again, during season, maybe after practice or sometime on weekends, In the off season, he's with his trainer at least the weekdays, Monday through Friday.
Oh wow.
As far as the DB trainer, um, the foundation was set by the guy I mentioned, Damian Daniels, here in Columbus, Georgia. Um, he's with Damian at least twice a week, and then I try to get him with Oliver Davis. He's a trainer in Atlanta, and he I really like him because he is self-taught. Um, he is, how the kids like to say, he's a dog, and he tries to teach his guys how to be a dog because, he was one who he had to he had to fight for everything he got, he earned. So he has a lot of good exposure as well. So picking a trainer is not just picking a trainer. I'm rambling, but I'm saying I'm trying to paint the picture for parents to see that all trainers are not alike. And if you hear something that I said is that AJ strength and conditioning coach, was with West Virginia football. His one DB coach that set the foundation for him. He played Arena League for 10 years. He's the all-time interception leader. Oliver Davis, Jalen Ramsey calls him out to work with him in the summer. He trains J.C. Horn, Vildor for the Bears. I mean, he works with Xavier Howard. These guys are seeking out Oliver Davis. So AJ is blessed to be, getting some tutelage from a guy who really knows what he's doing.
How often does he get to see the guy in Atlanta? That's
Yeah,
a
big.
2 hour. It's 2 hour drive, something like that.
Yeah, and hey, again, when you want your kid to be great, it has to come with sacrifices. So me and AJ are, taking that 2 hour trip. We go see Oliver Davis. So we have a rhythm for him. We try to get minimum 2 to 3 private sessions each Saturday in a month. We try to go up there at least 3 Saturdays. But then the money, Brian, is where Oliver Davis works with a receiver guy in Atlanta, goes by Route Masters. And
Oh, I know him.
he's pretty good, and he gets all of the best receivers in the
Yeah,
Atlanta area. And
he's
what
legit.
they will do is they will unite, and on Friday nights, they will go into what they call the bubble. It's like an indoor soccer stadium up there in Atlanta, and these guys go do their one-on-ones, and he is seeing some of the best receivers in the country. um, and he gets beat up on in there sometimes.
Sure.
Wins a lot of reps, but I mean, he gets beat up on because what I like is Oliver Davis will match his DBs up with their weakness, so they're going to get beat, but they're going to get better. So that's the money right there, is the bubble.
Well, I know like Deniwan and some of those
Yeah,
guys worked with
go.
Rock. Yeah.
You are familiar.
Oh
Hey,
yeah, I mean I know the
hey,
guy.
hey, you down there in Florida, but you get around.
Oh yeah, I'm in Atlanta all the time. It's there. That's the money city for
Yes,
receivers and quarterbacks right now. It's the money city, and
yes.
Route King is what. Hey, the
He
guy is
knows about.
Deniwan just signed with Georgia. He
Yeah,
just signed with Georgia, so
yeah,
he knows what he's doing. But
yeah.
that city, if you're going to get work, you
It's
could pick a lot worse answers.
had. Yes, it's work to be had.
I'll have to go up there and see y'all work out. That'd be fun just to
Yeah.
watch it, just from the entertainment. Because, like you said, as good as AJ is, you ain't gonna win all them reps. Not with those guys.
No, and what I like about it is, like I say, OD picks their poison. So, you
Hmm.
know, I don't really like putting out any of his weaknesses because we know them. But I will
Yeah,
say that, if you look at it now, the Jalen Ramseys, the J.C. Horns, those guys don't just stay outside. AJ is being recruited to be an outside cornerback. But if you look at Jalen this year, he's in the slot. They're blitzing him off the edge. So you have to be able to go into that slot. And AJ, that is one place that he was not feeling as comfortable as. So
okay.
he really don't like those little twitchy, short, twitchy, quick guys like Santana Fleming. You know what I mean? So So OD will on purpose pair him up with guys like that so he can work on those weaknesses. And we're working on him. We're working on him, and he's getting polished up. So I'm looking forward to this year, Brian. And I don't know if we were going to get into this, but I'm really looking forward. Me and Mom has held AJ back from the public school. So those out there who do know AJ know he's been at a private school, but we moved him over to Central, which is 7A football in Alabama. And this year, I know it'll be some of that, who is this guy, or this is the new 4-star or whatever. So we're looking forward to seeing how this season will go with the work we putting in.
Well, just playing against Carmelo in practice will make a difference. For people who don't know English, Carmelo English is a kid at Central that was very good in the state title game. They lost, and he's a kid that can play at Alabama or Clemson. I'll just make it easy.
Yeah.
And you get you guys are going to be in lunch together.
Yeah.
You know what they're going to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got you yesterday. No, I got you.
Exactly.
That's part of it, and that's cool.
Exactly. And it is the funny thing with that, Brian, is I actually coached Carmelo and AJ AAU basketball from 8 years old, 12 years old. So they definitely going to be harassing each other. So
that's great stuff.
He's looking forward to it. Yes.
That's great stuff, man. I really enjoy it when kids can help each other, and it's just ironic. One plays corner, the other plays receiver. So
yes,
they have to compete. They literally are opposition.
Yeah. AJ, when we went over there to tour Central campus, AJ, when we were leaving, I already had told Coach Nix and the DB coach, and I will take 90% of my reps with Carmelo this year. So yeah.
I mean, why would you waste?
I mean, trying to get ready for Saturday. I mean, hey, you'd rather get beat in that bubble. You'd rather get beat in practice than to be taking that beating on Saturdays. So,
as the saying goes, you got to play the best to be the best, and
yes,
that's it.
Yes.
I'll have to ride up with you guys and see that. That's.
I definitely. I'll keep you posted. I will.
Yeah, that's. I go up there all the time anyway. Heck, I might as well. I know Malachi and a lot of Malachi's a good player, quarterback. I know a lot of those guys. So that's something to check out.
And that's the thing too, Brian. When occasionally we get some of those high level elite quarterbacks in Georgia to come down, and because that makes a difference too. A quarterback that can put the ball out on time.
Oh yeah.
You can feel like you're doing good things as a DB because the quarterback is off target, off time. But when you got a quarterback who putting that ball on the money and on time, that's Saturdays too, and it's a big difference.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I might even be able to help you accidentally on purpose get a few national quarterbacks to show up there.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
This is the year of the quarterback. 23.
It is
a special year.
No, not because my kid is in it, but 23 is a special class.
It's the best year in Florida I've seen since I can remember, which Florida don't need a lot of help anyway.
No.
But it's nasty. And the quarterback thing, though, there's one just about in every state that can play. Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, wherever.
Right.
So
and like about it, what you just mentioned is it wouldn't be a hard sell. I'm gonna have to link you in with OD as well.
I need to get up and see
because
I love watching the trainers. I love it.
Yeah, well, I think with how you cover and do your stories, I think that you two could have a relationship that in the future it may benefit you to get into some of those key future cornerbacks coming up, because I tell you too, I really like sometimes Oliver Davis will set it up where people that listen to your podcast kind of know some of the high school guys coming up, but Caleb Downs, he's the 20.
Oh, yeah. Nasty.
Nation. Sometimes he will purposely make those guys work out together because he say it's funny, they're laughing and joking and harassing each other, but he say it's funny because when Ethan, Caleb, and AJ work out together, the ball does not touch the ground that whole session,
Of course.
And it's another guy, a 24 guy, Brian. I don't know if you heard about him. His name is Emilio Agard. He's from Philadelphia. And if
Oh
you,
yeah, is he play at St. Joe?
yeah,
Yeah, I know.
if you haven't heard about him, you will. But
Yeah, he's a special talent.
yeah, he comes up there and works out with OD too. So I mean, we can get some elite talent in the bubble one of these Friday nights coming up soon.
I might have to bring Cormani up.
Ooh,
I live real close to it.
hey, listen, that's a guy there.
He's the longest dude you ever going to see at corner. His arms are for days.
Kermani has some ball skill. Me and AJ watch Kermani. We watch the best. The money team, Kermani, that he can play. He's a dog.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, you know, what's interesting, not to get off topic here. Every state kind of goes through these, you know, ups and downs, and Alabama's always got players. That's never going to change. But the state of Alabama in AJ's class, defensive back, is insane. You got AG, you got Tony, you got Jaleel.
Yes.
It's crazy.
You just said three of the guys that if you go to almost any of the guys that do rankings, they're like in the top 5. Those 3 Alabama cornerbacks you just said, Tony Mitchell, Jaleel Hurley, and AJ Harris, pretty much rivals on 3. They're in the top 5. So Alabama is under the radar. And even we got some more coming up.
Avery Stewart's a really good player.
I was just getting ready to say Gas Crew is another 7-on-17 that AJ would have considered if he played. And Coach Steele over there is doing a great job with some of the DBs in the state of Alabama with Avery Stewart and Dakari Nelson. So it's some other Alabama DBs under the radar right now as well. We got a 24 kid at Central, Jaden Coleman. We got a 25 kid, Montarius Eccles. Alabama is loaded. Yes.
You and I were talking about this off the air because everybody just thinks they don't have a shot at the kids in the state of Alabama. You know, they think, oh, they're just going to go to Auburn or they're just going to go to Alabama. A lot of the kids outside of that top 5, they don't get at the offers that they should because they're like, why am I wasting my time? But Nick, to be honest, they only sign like 5 to 7 kids in the state of Alabama because they recruit nationally now. They don't care about state boundaries. They have zero loyalty to any state.
They don't. No. You know, it's funny you say that Coach Day, Ohio State, before they gave AJ the offer, I mean, they did homework and they had reached out to his so AJ's strength and conditioning trainer is from Ohio. They had him to find out about his family. They were watching his like when we talked to Coach Day, they was like, you know, you train with this guy on the blue carpet. Who is that? And you train with this guy in Atlanta. I mean, they do their homework on you. But I'm saying all that to say they were not going to offer him because Coach Day actually said, we really don't come down into Alabama that much because we figure all of the elite guys are going to go to Alabama. So, yes.
That's been the case. I've been involved in recruiting over 20 years. That's always been the case, but there's usually like 1 or 2 kids a year that is like, I'm leaving. You know, Shamar this year was arguably the best player in the state, and he signed with Florida. He was just that guy.
Well, you know, Brian, I tell you something. This kind of touches the portal thing. You know, Alabama is not for everybody. Some of those kids that really can ball, Alabama is a wait your turn. Like, they're going to be loaded. So when you get there, it's probably going to be 2 or 3 studs ahead of you. So you got to wait your turn. And some of these recruits are not really looking at the board in front of them to see, like, I'm not a guy that's going to wait. So I might need to go here. And they go to the brand. And then that's why this portal is being so full like it is right now. So that's just a tip I like to throw out. Hey, look at the guys ahead of you if you don't want to wait your turn.
It is the portal, by the way, is the bane of my existence.
It's ridiculous. It's out of control.
Everybody's not going to the league.
No.
Newsflash.
No.
Even as good as AJ is, and he's conservatively a national top 5 player in that class, the odds still technically don't favor it. It's insane how hard it is to play professional football.
It is.
If you take anything from this podcast, the people out there, your son is going to struggle to get paid to play the pigskin. Period.
Hey, And Brian, it's funny you say that. Not only is it hard to go to the league, but even just getting a trainer to help them be quote unquote kind of college ready is tough. So yeah, don't even think about the NFL. And you know, that's why we really stress to AJ about being educated on the 40-year plan. You know, it's funny when we go on all of the visits this when we went on all of the visits this summer, you know, the parents are looking out for the academics and the
Sure.
40-year plan. The kids ready to see the facilities and do the photo shoot, man.
That's
It's
it.
so funny. It's so funny, man. They don't look at the 40-year plan, but yeah, you're right. Going to the NFL is beyond hard. People just don't realize it. You need a little luck. You need to know some people. You need to have a network there. I mean, it's just a different animal.
Oh, it absolutely is. Speaking of facilities, let's see. Tell me if I've missed any. Y'all have been to the following. Obviously, Auburn and Alabama. You live in the state of Alabama. You've been to Georgia. You've been to Clemson. You've been to Ohio State. You've been to Notre Dame. That's a pretty good start. What other schools have you been to unofficially, and you've seen facility? What's I'm curious about that.
Well, and keep in mind now, Auburn has that big, beautiful new practice facility to be done this
Mm,
summer.
that's
We
right.
need a new practice facility yet, but we also went to North Carolina. Um, I think you mentioned Clemson. We went down
Hmm.
to LSU,
Okay.
um, Florida.
In Florida. Okay.
Yes.
Uh, When you went to Florida, that was that before or after Mullen was
Well,
jettisoned?
you know what? That's what I was getting ready to say. You know, AJ put out his top seven, and I mean, you know, we're on a podcast now, so you know, it'll kind of be put out there. But some things you like to kind of go under the radar on because, like, for people like you know, who want to know, like, man, like, I think AJ has done a great job of not tilting his hat to where he's going to go. You may look at his Twitter or his Instagram in August and think, oh, that kid's going to Ohio State. You may look in a month and be like, oh, that kid's going to Georgia. And you may look the next month and think, is he going to North Carolina? I think he has done very good at doing his homework. And the Florida thing is kind of under the radar. In fact, I will just go ahead and put it out there now. Um, we're actually getting ready to go back to Florida next week because Florida was not in this top seven. But you know, some people, if you really watch close, LSU was in this top seven. Well, AJ loves Coach Rain because the proof is in the pudding. You know, you go back
Sure.
to Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, and Dale Pitt. I mean, you can just keep naming defensive backs from LSU. When Coach Raymond got to Florida, he was like, hey, he was like, would you consider? And AJ wanting to be developed to try to make that hard jump from college to the league knows that Coach Raymond can get it done. So we're getting ready to go take another trip down to Florida here in the
Okay.
too.
Well, you're trying to make it a business decision. You got to look at all options. So I completely condone it. I mean,
It
why?
is. It is. Any other parents out there that you know are listening and will take you know into mind some of the things I'm saying, if you know are fortunate enough to have money to get trainers and things of that nature, most definitely when it comes that time to you know when your kid breaks through and is being recruited, um, don't just jump at brands. Go do your homework. um, all of the facilities are beautiful. So it's not just about the facilities. And you're going to hear a lot of people saying, well, you go to a school for the school. And yeah, to a certain extent, that's true. But let's be real. I love Coach Pittman at Arkansas.
I
But
did
how
too.
many kids really want to be in Arkansas? I mean, so at the end of the day, when this kid get recruited to Arkansas, it's because they love X or Y or Z. So when these coaching changes are happening and these kids are moving, people are like, well, you should pick Alabama because it's Alabama. And it's like, well, Coach Saban ain't there no more. I really want to come there because Coach Saban there. So I'm just saying, look at the coaching movement and just keep that in mind. These coaches are selling the product to the kid.
I tell people all the time that are quote unquote homers and that are, shall we say, very invested in their alma mater's football program.
Yeah.
Kids pick schools for the coach, not the logo. And they say a lot of things that I won't say on my podcast right now to me. They don't want to hear it. A lot of them, no matter what, I can give them antidotes and they still don't want to hear it. Just complete blinders.
Yes.
And that's not how it works.
Yes. No.
This is not 1978. They pick a school to go to the NFL. Do you think Florida would have a shot with a new head coach that he probably doesn't know that well if Corey wasn't there? No. Now, then maybe they could build it, but I mean, because he already had an established relationship with Corey at LSU, okay, the Gators get a shot. It's about Corey. It's not the Gator logo. It's just the way it is. And it would be that way at any school that Corey was at.
You totally got my point. And that's what I'm saying. Like I see on Twitter, some kid who decommitted. And again, he probably decommitted because he didn't do his homework well enough. But I see the kid who decommitted and then the fans kind of get on him, kind of like, well, he should have came here. This is the best school in the nation or whatever. And again, you just kind of solidify my point. The thing is, the guy who recruited him and who he loved and who sold the product to him is really what the kid was attracted to and liked. Now, granted, is that coach, wherever he go or follow the coach, is that coach going to be there for all 3 years? In a lot of cases, no. But again,
that's all you know, though.
The kid is going to do. The kid is going to try to be developed to go to the next level with the coach that he's picking in a lot of cases.
That's the deal. Like I tell kids, you need to at least accept the school. I understand the coach part. And it's even hard to get a 16 to 18-year-old to understand. Like they have blinders on of their own.
Yes.
But I mean, AJ's a lot more mature than most of the kids I deal with. But if you don't like the school, I don't care if it's Nick, you wanted to go play for it out, pick whatever guy you want. You're not going to be successful if you hate your surroundings.
Yes.
You have to at least, even if you don't like it, you have to be able to tolerate it because, and I tell this to kids all the time, AJ lives down south. If he goes to Clemson or Ohio State, LSU, wherever he goes, and the Buffalo Bills call his name, the first thing he's going to do is call dad and say, this sucks. I don't want to go to Buffalo. Well, too bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody wants to get drafted by the Bills. It's the dead last city in America to live in. Dead last.
Yeah.
But they got an NFL franchise and they write you those checks. It's time to deal. It's the same thing in college. You may be going there to be coached by a guy. You may not like all the surrounding. Like Sam Pittman's a hell of a coach at Arkansas. If the kid goes, I get it.
Yeah.
But Fayetteville's not real exciting.
Yeah.
I understand that too. But there's nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa is not real exciting either, but they're doing okay.
And and you just touched on a point that I didn't mention, but I'm glad you brought it up. That's another thing when I'm saying do your homework. It costs some money this summer for all of the trips we did.
Oh, buddy, I'm sure your wallet took a pounding.
Yeah, but you would be amazed when you get to some of these places. It's kind of like you and your kid will be like, oh, what are you going to do when you are off from school or, in the evenings or the weekends? Like some of them, you got to go do your homework because you would be surprised at some of these places where the nice schools are. It's nothing in the town. So do your homework.
I mean, if you think about it, just the Southeastern Conference, it's totally random. Like I don't root for Georgia, for instance, but I like Athens. It's the nice mid-sized city.
Nice little, nice.
I like Athens. I'm not a Georgia fan at all, but I like it. I've got a buddy who's the biggest Alabama fan in the world, and he hates Tuscaloosa. He hates it, but that's where the school's at. Yeah. I went to grad school for a while at Baton Rouge. That's the biggest city in Louisiana now. There's all kinds of stuff to do there. But if you go to Mississippi State, you got to find it on the map.
Yeah.
Every school's different. You got to find a fit.
Yes.
And some kids, they like the redneck sticks of Mississippi, and some kids don't.
Yes.
You have to put foot on the campus. You cannot go by a Zoom call. And it's unfortunate some of the kids with COVID kind of had to do that. There wasn't an option. But
Yeah,
if you don't put your foot on a campus, it doesn't matter if Nick's coaching or whoever, you may not be able to handle it because this ain't for me. You have to go to the campus.
you do.
So
You do, and that's why I do. That's why I say I think some of the kids decommitted because we're slow. We just came out of the COVID where they can go on the campuses.
right.
Some kids went to some of these schools and was like, "Oh no, there is no way I could be in this city."
Yeah.
Yeah, do your homework, please.
Yeah. Like you get some of the country kids down here where we live and like USC recruits them. Inner city LA is right around the corner. That ain't for everybody.
No,
Yeah.
that's
And
a good
it's
point too because
culture.
a lot of these kids down here, they really do know how to fish and they do hunt. So
Yeah.
like USC might not be appealing to them when they actually go and see what. Now I love California
I
myself.
do too.
Just saying, they might not, but they might be totally unimpressed when they go see
Right.
USC. So
Yeah, Northwestern. There's certain schools that are in Miami. They're in big places. It's either it is or it isn't. Make sure if you take your kid,
Brian, you just brought up Northwestern. That's a great
Chicago.
school, and but a lot of kids from the South when they feel that in the Midwest we call it that halt coming off the
Off the lake.
the lake there, Lake Michigan. Hey,
Ooh.
they feel that cold, and they'll be like, "Oh, this was the worst decision I could have."
Great school, location's iffy.
Yeah. Again,
It's
do your homework and one other thing I just really want to put out, Brian, while I got your platform here, is some parents want their kid to be highly recruited, and they're going to be fortunate enough for their kid to break through. And you're going to realize real quick, it's not as fun as you think. A lot of us common folks, we watch celebrities and how, now all this reality TV and stuff and think they want a piece of that. But I can tell you that AJ has kind of went about his recruiting. He put out a top 13 early on. He put out a top 7 early on because he just did not like trying to court 15, 20, 25 different coaches.
I don't blame him.
It was not fun. And even for me and mom, because early on, when they're young, they can't, be as interactive with the coaches. So you're doing a lot of Zoom calls, and our evenings was, we're on Zoom with Georgia to a phone call with Bama, and Clemson is calling in the middle. You know what I mean? So just be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I know like AJ knows who I am, but like he doesn't even return my message at this point. Like he's just done with it.
Oh, I'm glad you said that, so I can put out for him. Yes, I actually probably shortly after September 1st when the 23s contacted. AJ always, if I text him or anything, he'll hit me back or whatever. And it had got to a point he was missing it sometime. And I'm like, hey, don't forget who paid that bill. Don't you know what I'm saying? But he was like, Dad, and he just gave me his phone. Brian, it was like literally like 300 messages in there. I had to show him. I was like, hey man, you can pin me to the top so you can see when my message comes in. But I'm saying that to say, so when he misses you sometime, it's because he hasn't yet went through the madness. Yes.
I don't really have any interest in texting and interview kids traditionally. Like I used to interview kids. I'd do 5 to 10 in the night. Kids, it was just different era. But once the texting started, because of what AJ had showed you with his phone, the elite, say top 50 to 100 kids.
Yes.
It's completely overwhelming because it used to be everybody recruited regionally other than just a few schools like Michigan, Notre Dame, US, a handful of schools are recruiting. Now, hell, Ole Miss is recruiting in California.
Everybody. Yeah.
So the kids are getting completely overwhelmed.
It is. And
you too.
And one thing I like to tell parents too, AJ put out his top 13 and then down to a top 7 to hope to ward people off.
Mhm.
But the recruit, they already know it ain't over until you sign on that dotted line. So some of them slow down anyway. So again, I hope as you listen to this, it's a few things that's being enlightening to you, because it's been a serious process, to say the least.
Yeah, it's not fun for the guys like me too, because the people will ask us, "Hey, what AJ? Look, I'll just be like, he is not taking any more calls. He is
Yeah,
done."
yeah.
There's certain.
You know,
I understand.
yeah. What happened is he kind of seen how it was going. So at the beginning of this season, he had said that no more interviews until the end of the season, so he can focus
Mhm.
on that and do his schoolwork, because trying to graduate early, AJ has nothing but core classes, so he's getting homework,
Yeah.
and it's a lot. So um I would say September, October, I was doing a lot of writers were just, interviewing me for him. It's like I became his mouthpiece,
Sure.
because, just trying to see where he was in that process. But yes, and even coming out of that now, like, the writers who he's developed a good rapport with, he's still reaching out with, but he's still being kind of a little back office to some, because again, he just hasn't really loved the process, you know.
Most kids don't once they realize that it's not fun. I know Shamar Stewart, who's I still don't think he's signed yet. I talked to him a year and almost 2 years ago at Nike or Under Armour down in Miami. Real open talking. You can't.
Say
He done.
yes, yes.
He's
It's
done.
and another point about that is, Brian, I would say August. I say we because again, I kind of became his mouthpiece, but with his guidance, I became his mouthpiece. We stopped taking offers. I can remember in August, Oregon, at the time, Coach Chance was still there. He's moved on now to Colorado, but me and him had a great conversation. And then he was like, "Yeah, so just tell AJ to call me. We're ready to offer him or whatever." And when I got off the phone with him, AJ was like, "Dad, I'm not courting anybody else. And you've raised me like, don't lead them on for no reason. So I'm not even going to call." So the next week, Kentucky called. Coach Collins had moved from Georgia State to Kentucky. And I was like, "Coach," I was like, "Hey, I'll tell him, and we're flattered and we thank you, but he's not taking any more offers right now. He just didn't want to establish any more relationships, because he felt obligated to. AJ is the kind of guy, he felt obligated. If you gave me an offer, I'm at least going to give you some time to talk to you and get to know you. So
Sure.
he felt obligated, if you gave him the offer, to establish some type of rapport with you. So we've also had to kind of help him navigate and learn how to be respectful and say no.
It's hard because at the end of the day, and in AJ's case is extreme. He's got an offer from pretty much every school in the country that's in the top 20. There's only one guy that gets a yes. And I mean, we still
Yeah.
don't know who it's going to be for AJ, but I've been told 1,000 times the hardest thing I made my son do was not announce, okay, I'm going to school X. Before you do that, you got to go in there. You got to call the coach, each and every one of them individually. And the kids will like get mad
Yes.
because they don't want to tell dad no, but they'd rather tell dad or mom no than calling Saban or whatever person it is. You a
Hey,
grown man? You gonna be a grown man? You got to tell people no.
and that
It's not fun.
and one thing I like to caveat on your point about that is this: all of us see how these coaches are moving. If you don't want to be that guy to do it the right way and let them know, hey, you didn't make the cut, you're probably going to run into them again.
Yeah.
So it's probably better that you tell them, hey, you didn't make the cut, before you just put it on Twitter and they find out that way. That's not real cool. So yeah, AJ has been told that as well. Hey, you're going to call people. And one thing I actually like to put out there, a lot of people don't like how Clemson move and they move slow, but Clemson truly gets to know you.
Yeah.
And Coach Sweeney actually, he pretty much told us, he was like, hey, it's a two-way street. And the only thing we ask is that we don't, that we hear from you first, that we don't hear it from Twitter. So he actually was kind of like, hey,
I like that.
yeah, yeah. So I thought that was kind of classy as well. So
Yeah, Dabo, to say the least, is old school. I think that's the conservative way to
yes,
define it.
that's why he got so many haters, man. But I can actually say that the thought processes and the way he wants to go about it is great. Times are changing though, and he may have to adapt a little bit, but yeah, I like the way they go about business too. And hey, when y'all hear me say that I like the way they go about business, that does not mean that Clemson must be the front runner.
I'm sure I'm going to get a text message about that in
Yeah,
38 seconds.
exactly. No.
By the way, I'm not going to answer it if I get
it. Yeah, because Brian know a lot of the inside stuff now. We had a good conversation before we got on here, but I'm just saying, I like the way Dabo does business. My wife liked the way Dabo does business. And I tell you, North Carolina is another one. Mac Brown, man, when me and my wife talked to Mac Brown, you could really tell he's at a point in his life that he is very content and that the only thing he wants to do is try to take one more run at a national championship, but it's all about the kids. And the way him and his wife do business is first class. I love it.
I've heard Mac's a pretty fun guy to be around, and his wife's always been involved, so that's good.
Hey, Sally, his wife Sally, man, she's an architect. A lot of people don't know this, man. She can. She just don't work that hard now because she don't have to. But she can make way more money than Coach Brown does. So it's funny to see them two get together and harass each other. Yeah, real good couple. Real good couple.
Last question, and then I'll get to the Alabama Georgia thing as far as recruiting goes. Are you guys planning to like really mess around with much spring visits, or are you just going to wait and take official visits like summer and in the fall?
So Brian, I'm gonna say this. AJ had put out his date to commit was gonna be January 11th, and he backed off of that. He didn't want to. He wanted to be a man of his word since he had put that out there and commit.
Sure.
But it wasn't totally feeling right to him. So I was like, hey, you the one gonna be in that room on the campus or whatever. So if it don't feel totally right, take some more time.
Right. Oh yeah.
So right now he could commit in February, he could commit in March. We just not putting a time on it. I'm telling you that, and I'm putting it out there. He is a guy that whoever he does commit to, he's already told me and Mom, I felt like a priority this year, everywhere we went. I'm gonna tell you, these schools and the way they recruit now is top notch, man. So when you are blessed enough to be one of those top guys, wherever you go, you feel like a priority. He was like, I really don't need the red carpet rolled out for me, except for the place where I'm going to commit to. So I don't know how we really going to attack that. There is two different schools. He said he would like to go to some spring practices to see how they compete and how things are working there. So maybe a couple more unofficials. And I'm thinking, Brian, no more than one, maybe two, three at the max official visit. He won't take all 5 official visits.
That's kind of what I figured. The only thing with that is, and it's to each their own, some kids like the game day visits and some kids don't.
Yeah.
What has happened in the last 15 years is kids will go to the quote unquote big game for, Alabama, USC, Miami, Notre Dame, whatever. But the coaches are so involved that week when it's actually coaching their team.
Yeah.
The visit sucks.
Yeah.
because they don't get to spend any time with them, but they want to be on campus for that too. It's a conundrum. And I've told kids, I said, take a visit, but go to the crappy game. And they said, what do you mean? I said, go to the game where Alabama's going to win 48-3. Nick can talk to you more.
Thank
It's just true. It's just true. It's
Hey,
just true.
listen, Brian, let me tell you something. I picked, well, I say I, because AJ blessed off. I talked with AJ about the games that we were going to go to. So we went to watch Bama play Southern Miss.
Smart.
Yeah. And like you say, so on a game like that, he still gets to get a little extra attention. And then at the time, we had picked like Georgia to play Kentucky, thinking that'd be low key.
Oh,
And
that's a low.
Kentucky was
That ain't low
6-0
key.
at the time. So it was a big game. So everybody was there. But what you just said is kind of how we kind of went about our business too. We tried to pick low key games instead of the bigger games. So he could, and sure enough, each game day, he was able to get some one-on-one time with the head coach and position coach as well. So it worked out nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with going to see Auburn, Alabama, but Nick ain't going to have no time. Coach Hartson ain't got. It's just different for those kind of games. It's my name is goodbye. They ain't got time for that.
Brian, I will tell you, man, they've got so good at this recruiting for the top guys. No, it is strategically done. Like Coach Saban, at a certain part, maybe about 2 hours before certain guys, he's going to take a few minutes
That's smart.
in the family. So, Coach Smart, he's cut from that Coach Saban cloth. They strategically they got this thing to a science for sure. So no, they make time for guys who they think they may really end up wanting to get in the long run.
Well, there's truth in that, but which one's he going to have more time for? The game against Auburn or the game against Southern Miss? I mean,
yeah, you're right. Yeah, a little bit different focus. Yeah, that's true. Good point.
All right. Well, last thing, speaking of Alabama, they have a rather important game on Monday. It's what I call my home city. I'm from Indiana. They're actually playing in Indianapolis this year, which is kind of unusual, but they're playing the Bulldogs again. Rematch of the SEC title game. I believe it was 41-24 first time. Kind of surprised me. I picked Georgia. And prerequisite here. I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
I'm picking Alabama. Until otherwise proven, I say Nick Saban's going to beat Kirby Smart. And when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I got Alabama 31-21. What do you say?
Man, Brian, you know what? My heart wants to say Georgia, but my gut is telling me Bama. I'm really wondering how much if Bama had Mechie, I would flat out say Bama.
And that is a factor now. He's a ball player.
You know what? I am. You said something I kind of agree with. Kirby got to break through this Nick Saban thing.
True.
I'm gonna go Bama. I'm gonna go Bama 27-24.
That'd be a hell of a game. If it's a 3-point game, regardless of who wins.
I do think this time it's going to be a little bit closer and definitely much more competitive. So, but I'm not a guy who don't think that Stetson Bennett can't make the play, even though he hasn't did it. I don't think that Stetson is going to be the one that hurt him. I think it's going to be how that Georgia defense,
they got to play better in that secondary,
does against Bryce Young. That's what it's going to come down to. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm a man that likes history, and the history's favoring the top. And I don't care about either school. I'm just honest.
Yeah, so I'm with you. Hey. People might be wondering if AJ going to either or the other, but just calling it like I see it, I definitely think it'll be close. And I definitely do think it's something psychological.
Oh, I do too. I don't know what it is about that. Sometimes teams get that crux in their head. It could be at any level. Brian? Yeah, I can hear you. It's weird. It's really weird. Sometimes guys just don't have the ability to
Hello?
do. Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, wow. Well, I guess that's the end of the interview. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This has been a rather entertaining opportunity with Mr. Harris. Oh, there he is again. What's getting back on? Hold on one second here. There you go. I don't know what happened there.
Right. Yeah, I lost you for a second. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. It's interesting how teams get that crux, and like this for whatever reason, there's this team we can't beat them. I
Yeah,
don't know what the heck that is, but it happens at all levels, and it happens with every sport, and it's
it does. And when they start talking about it, that kind of lets you know that the other team is in their head. And I think Georgia is talking about it. So we're gonna see.
well, I think it was like 5 straight possessions that Bryce led them to a score of a field goal or a touchdown. I mean, I don't care what team you're playing. That's
No,
impressive. But Georgia, and I thought had the best defense in the country.
me too. So they
But
something figured out. Yeah, yeah, I agree.
five,
Yeah, that's too much.
five, yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy, man. So I mean, it was bombs away, and the one position that Georgia was young slash not as experienced that was corner, and of course, as you know, your kid's a corner. If corner's not set, and they were talking about it on a podcast yesterday. You got to rotate guys because it's a track meet. You can't play the same guy the whole game. Can't do it.
yes.
So when there was I forget the kid's name, but there was a kid for Georgia when he came in the game. It was obvious. This is who we throwing at.
I
Unless
hate
Georgia figures that out.
one. It's 3-1. Tyrone Poole. That's something else I noticed too. When you go watch these games, you really see Kirby and Coach Saban, they from the same tree, and they don't rotate guys. And when they have to play them, the other team is going to know, and they're going at them. They're going at them.
Well, yeah, for the most part, there's nobody on Alabama or Georgia's defense. You go, well, I want, it's a limited number. If you go by like the composite that 24/7 puts out, they're the 2 most talented teams.
They
They
are.
got good coaches, but my grandmother, may she rest in peace, could coach Georgia's defense. You know what I mean? They just got a lot of players. So if there's any weakness, if you're a fool not to at least, okay, if we're going to get a big one here, let's let Bryce let one go right here because this kid's in the game.
Yes.
They see the guys running on the field from up booth. They say, like, look, it's now. It's now.
Yes.
And
if you can block that front seven, I think you hit it though. The back end, although not bad, that probably is the weakest link of Georgia. So if you can block the front seven, you in a good place. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Harris, I thank you very much. Stay on. I'm going to end the podcast here, but thank you for everybody, and I hope you learned something from Coach Harris's perspective. I didn't know you were a basketball coach. That's interesting.
Yeah, I love basketball, Brian.
I do too. I'm from Indiana, like you, so basketball's in our blood. But
yeah,
it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing AJ at the Under Armour. I assume he's going to Atlanta again this year. So
yeah,
I'll see. Yeah. But everybody have a great day. Thank you much.